The Good Buddies Anime Podcast is hosted by two rowdy, foul-mouthed American cowboys. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome into the Good Buddies Anime Show. I am your good buddy Roger.
And I am your good buddy Brandon.
And Brandon, right at the top of the show, man, I've been waiting to do this all week. At least since I went through the audio. I would like to rescind something. Last week we reviewed Wonder Egg Priority.
Oh no.
And I was making this really stupid argument about the heterochromia or whatever and being bullied about it. And it was fucking dumb. And I don't know what I was on about it.
Buddy.
Nobody called me out for it or anything like that. I'm
All
calling
right.
myself out, and I'm rescinding that. I didn't take any points off for it, but that was stupid. It was stupid.
I thought it was kind of a weird argument, but I wasn't going to give you no shit for it.
You know, with the lack of nicotine and I'm just irritable, and you know, sometimes
you were mad about other stuff, like the show not having an ending,
it
the
dumped
animals
on
getting
me,
destroyed.
and you know, sometimes us white boys, we just be bitchy, you know?
Jesus Christ, Roger. All right, well, that's one for the corrections department, but why don't we tell the folks what we're actually here for?
This week, we're talking about something that, is so good.
We're talking about...
It was my favorite of the season.
Yeah, this and Wonder Egg, I think, throughout the season were our two favorites.
Yeah.
Obviously, the last episode of Wonder Egg left a bad taste in pretty much everybody's mouth, I think. But this one, I gotta tell you, I feel like it held up.
Yeah, it did all the way through. We're talking about Horimiya.
It's everybody's favorite, Horimiya.
Oh man, what a sweet, heartfelt show. I really enjoyed it.
I liked it a lot. But before we start absolutely gushing over this one, let's tell them what we're going to do. We, your good buddies, are going to give you, our good buddies, a review of recommendation. We're going to talk about this show. We're going to break it on down a little bit, and we're going to give it a final score. And Roger, if this show was straight up boo-boo garbage, what would you call that?
Ooh, I'd call it an anime, maybe not.
What if it was like not the worst?
Anime.
It's fine. Pretty average.
It's an anime, maybe.
It's actually pretty decent, though.
My God, that's Animos, definitely.
But if it was so good, Roger,
ooh, that's amazing.
it would be amazing. And the way we're going to get there is we have a little scoring system we do. 5 different categories, each worth a possible 2 stars for a total of a possible 10 stars. Roger, what is that first category?
The story and setting.
What is the second category, Roger?
The characters and development.
Number 3, if you please.
The art and animation.
Number 4.
That soundtrack.
And finally, that Good Buddies Wiggle Room, that 5th category, that
Je ne sais quoi.
Roger, what does that mean?
I do not know what.
I don't know what. But that's how we're going to do it.
And that is how math works.
That is how math works. You know what? I've got my little things I throw in, and I forgot to say that's how math
It's okay.
works. It's fine.
It's fine.
Listen, we're back into it. So let's get on into this one, man. Horimiya, super cute show. Let's just get straight to the story and setting. This is a romantic comedy. It's pretty obvious.
Yep.
And it's one that, well, so when I say romantic comedy and anime, I'm usually thinking kind of, ichi stuff is what we usually end up with.
And very like slice of life.
Slice of life-y, sometimes with, focus on the boobs and butts and whatnot. This one doesn't really have that at all. It's mostly just a very cute, kind of dramatic, very often funny show.
It's a study in young love and relationships.
Yeah, and I dare say it's quite well done.
Yeah.
We have a high school nobody. He's got shaggy hair. He's got no friends. But after a chance encounter with the cute and popular girl, a friendship is formed that very quickly blossoms into romance. And I mean very quickly. We talked about this in the Rambles previously. There have been a number of folks online who read the manga who were kind of bummed out because this show apparently runs through like 2, sometimes 3 issues of that manga per episode. Now I'll be honest, I'm never going to read that manga. As for this show, I think it's great.
Yeah. This is one of the things I really like about this show.
Yeah.
To use a very common trope that, happens to animes and almost everything is, you get that kind of the boy gets the girl or whatever. But typically that happens at the very end of something.
Yes.
And it often leaves me with the feeling of like, well, I kind of want to see where the relationship goes a little bit.
Right.
Thank God this one just fast tracks it, and that's what you're getting is what happens in the relationship.
Yeah, man.
It's what you've waited for the whole time. They give it to you early, and then you get more
The amount
It's
of times,
good.
the amount of times that we've talked about a show, I'm thinking just off the top of my head, We Never Learn. There's a few others, that like we're just sitting there like, man, can you imagine if these characters actually talked to each other and figured out how they felt about each other?
Yeah.
Episode 1, motherfucker.
Yeah,
It's so good.
Yeah, and once again, that's just a trope that boy gets girl. This really isn't boy gets girl. This is two people get each other. They,
Yeah, and it's quite
it's
well
never
done.
played, like Miyamura is never overplayed as like he's aggressively chasing or anything like that. It's just
you
really
could argue the other way around, but even then they kind of just fall into each other like by happenstance. And it's I liked it a lot.
Yeah, me too, man.
Setting wise, takes place mostly at the school and at the characters' houses, mostly at the girls' house, which we'll get to in a second. There's not a whole lot to say about the setting.
What makes the settings great are the characters there.
Yes.
And I would say unique settings bring in certain unique characters for the most part. You see them other places here and there, but mostly, your characters are set to their stages, and it's very good. It's really well done.
Yeah, quite
It's
so.
all around. Like, I really enjoyed everything, the way they did the story and how they placed all these characters and the interactions. It's very good.
It's super rad. Do you want to get on into those characters in development?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
Let's talk about it. So we're going to say right now, there's a lot of characters in this show. We're going to focus on the two main characters and the two closest friends.
Yep.
Who a lot of the show revolves around, and then it branches out to other characters later. But let's start, I think we should start with the titular Hori.
Yeah.
Kyoko Hori. Yes. She is smart. She's pretty. The girls want to be her. The guys want to be with her. At least one girl wants to be with her. She's a lot of fun. But she also doesn't.
I do like that girl.
She's so cool. But she doesn't tend to let people get all that close, it seems. She has friends. But until one specific thing happens, she doesn't seem like she lets any of them get too close. No one really knows her outside of her school persona, which is a thing that we're going to talk about. There's a whole thing within the first couple episodes where you're seeing these people and then you're seeing them, as we said before, there's a face you put on around people. Yeah. And then there's a face that you have when it's just you.
Right. Like
that you
school,
could argue is the real
school or
you.
work, you have, your certain face. And I do my best to be me all the time.
Sure.
But, work me or school me or whatever is pretty different than, regular old nerdy me, or,
There's still,
whenever I go out, throw on my leather jacket, something me.
If I recall properly, so that's a thing that I do constantly. Like, I remember if you've ever had, like, maybe a group of friends at school and a group of friends at work, and then those two groups run into each other, like me, sometimes there's like a moment of, whoa, I don't know. Like, it kind of weirded me out, particularly when I was younger. Like, I would go to church, I'd have my church friends. I go to school, I have my school friends. I'd be, at wherever else and have my wherever else friends. And if any of those groups ran into each other, I would kind of freak out because I don't know what to do. Yeah. I'm not to say that I was like putting on like a full-on act or anything, but you act a little bit different. I said before on this show, if you know me at work and we're not close friends, you're not allowed to really know me. Yeah. This is work. I have to be professional, Yeah,
I gotta be somewhat professional, and then once you go home, you get a little bit looser.
Yeah, absolutely. You unbutton that top button, you let it all hang out, and stuff happens.
Yeah, they know Brandon in the black tech shirt. They don't know Brandon in the tie-dye octopus girl shirt with the pink petty hat on.
That does happen. That is the thing. I do have a pink petty hat, and I love my pink petty hat. But yeah, talking about Hori though, she, like we said, she doesn't really like letting people see her how she is at home. She is fairly different. She's, kind of motherly because her mom's always working. Her dad's not always around. She's taking care of her little brother. It's just
doing
a different
chores,
kind
like
of person.
That,
Right. At first, anyway. And also, she's a little dirty girl, isn't she?
A little bit of a stickler.
We'll get to that. Anything else to say about Hori? You want to move on to Mia?
Let's go on to Miyamura.
Boy, oh boy. Izumi Miyamura. Real social pariah type at first. Yeah, doesn't really talk to anybody, no friends. Pretty much everyone thinks he's either a weirdo otaku or that quiet genius type because he's got the glasses. That guy probably gets really great scores. In fact, he's a bit of a punk and a bit of a himbo.
Yeah. You know, as a guy that I grew up in very much a punk rock, setting, Miyamura is he's really teetering on that border of like, this is a bad decision because he is covered in tribal tattoos.
Yeah, that's the thing. We talked about it. Like, you see him.
And I don't know a single self-respecting punk with tribal tattoos.
Like, first of all, what tribe are you from, bro?
Yeah.
You ain't no Uso. You ain't no Uso.
Yeah.
Second, what are you, Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
Yeah.
Anyway.
And he's got the earring with the chain. I'm like, oh,
he's got like 5 studs in his ear, one of which he has a chain that goes to his nose.
Yeah, I had a nose piercing before. I certainly never hung a chain from it.
Yeah.
Nor would I ever.
This is the thing. Like, episode 1, you basically see these characters at school, and then Miyamura happens to be around when Hori's little brother like fell and busted his nose or something. He helps him get home, and Hori's like, "Oh my gosh, are you okay?" He gets him inside, and she's like, "Thank you so much. Please come in, have some tea." And only later realizes, holy shit, this is that dude from my class.
Yeah.
Like, truly full-on transformation. Does not even know that's him.
Yeah. Doesn't recognize him at all.
And it's those moments where they see each other different is when they start to get along and eventually fall in love. Oh gosh.
Oh God.
Oh God, it's so cute.
And before we get out of this one, so I don't feel bad all week, I'm not shitting on anybody with chain piercings or tribal tattoos.
Although I will say, you ain't. I mean, what tribe are you from?
You do what you want, baby.
Look, if you're from a tribe, that's cool, man. Live your life.
You know
if
what?
you're not, you should feel bad.
You can be my Miyamura. That's fine.
Aw.
I like it.
Aw, it's kind of cute.
Yeah.
Let's move on. How about Turo Ishikawa?
Okay, Toru he's a pretty nice stand-up guy.
He's a good guy. I wrote
clean
that
cut,
down.
wealthy, nice purple hair.
Yeah,
I appreciate it, man. He seems like the dude in the class.
he's kind of that dude. He's not like crazy hot. He does have sweet purple hair and purple eyes. We'll talk about that. But his biggest thing is that, particularly in that first episode and the first few episodes, he seems to be harboring a secret, giant sarcastic air quotes, crush on Hori. Because it's kind of one of those things where, like, people know that he's into her. And it is when this Miyamura kid starts hanging out with her that he kind of feels some kind of way about it. But good guy Ishikawa, he doesn't like blow up on the dude. He kind of like asks him what's up, and then next thing you know, they're just talking about it, and next thing you know, they're friends.
Yeah, it's wild too how they portray it, and maybe I took a complete wrong reading at the very beginning, but the way the show portrayed him right at the start was he seemed a little douchey. But see, and there is a moment when they're talking, and it's like one of my favorite things in this whole fucking show in that first episode, where they're talking and they're like, here we are, we'll get to the art and animation, but like, here's our regular faces, we're talking about, it's kind of serious. And then like, he's asking Miyamura about his relationship with Hori, and Miyamura just goes, wait, do you like her? And like, boop, they both pop into this much rounder, more cartoony shape, where they just instantly softened up and they're suddenly getting to know each other. Yeah. It's so fucking cute. Yeah, the way they open the characters up, especially Toru, I thought was really striking and very well done.
The switch flip between like how they're talking to each other is mirrored by the animation, and it's absolutely rad.
Is. It's freaking cool. They do all sorts of neat things.
It's really
like
cool.
That, yeah.
But yeah, I love this kid. He's a nice boy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Anything more to say about him? You want to move on?
Let's go on to Yuki Yoshikawa.
Yuki Yoshikawa. She is a friend of Hori and Ishikawa's, who has also a little bit of a secret crush on Ishikawa, which we find out later. And here's the thing. She is, I'll say, like, she's very cute, very fun, very funny. She's got, like, there's some bits where she has, like, the standard cute girl like skin tooth thing going on, like she's that character. She also has a decent amount of the show's drama because she doesn't really seem to realize that she's into this dude until he kind of has another thing going on with someone else. And she seems to like not have a very favorable opinion of herself.
Right.
So you see her deal with some internal drama and whatnot, and it's, I think, very well done. Yeah, she's a really cool character.
She snaps from being there in the conversation, part of the group, to very distant very quickly.
She's suddenly just orbiting, and she doesn't even realize it until it's too late. But yeah, it's... I don't know. I can't say... We don't want to talk about it too much because we don't want to really spoil anything. We want you to watch this show if it wasn't clear.
Certainly. I'm trying to avoid as much as I can.
Yeah, but... Yeah, she has some really cool development. I like her a lot.
Yeah, these characters are really good. Even these secondary and third characters, they're all good.
Yeah.
They're all good, and they all get good development.
Now, here's one thing we will say now, and obviously I would touch on this in the Je ne sais quoi, but these are 4 characters. There are several more. You've got Hori's little brother, you got Hori's mom, you got Hori's dad who shows up kind of suddenly. He's rad as hell.
It's hilarious.
And then you've got like a dozen more kids at the school.
You got the student council. You got those council members' siblings.
You got sexy boy red hair.
Yep.
You got Miyamura middle school bully kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like
you got his group of 3 friends. You got Bunny Guy.
There's a
which
lot.
Actually was a really touching moment in the series.
I did like that one, yeah. But there's a lot of characters.
There are,
and there's a thing they'll do where like you'll get. I'll just say this now. There's bits where like you'll have an episode where like this character is introduced, has like half an episode to develop them and get them in, and you get a very good feel for that character. I do feel like I know that character, but then it kind of stops mattering because they don't show up again.
Yeah.
Except maybe in the background a couple times or just to throw in a line here and there.
Yeah, well, what I thought was they focused really well on your main characters, who are obviously your main characters. But then you get these like Bunny Guy, where he gets a portion in an episode, then another small portion, and then another episode forward gets the finishing portion.
Yeah.
And it's really well done, you know, like you know that this isn't a main character, but you get to know who they are, you get their part of the story, and you get to see how it relates to the overall, you know, thing. And he falls in with Miyamura, and you know, Miyamura has kind of a darker, broodinger past.
Yeah.
And that guy is part of it.
Yeah, he kind of had the full-on emo thing going.
Yeah, it's. I really like the way they did the characters, and I thought that even the sub characters got good development.
Yeah, I think it was well done. I will say, there's just so many that there were several moments where someone would show up, and I'm like, wait, now was this Bunny Guy or was this the other one? And like I kind of had to think about it for a second. There's just a lot.
There are 2 guys that have like that silverish hair.
Yeah.
That I know the other guy you're talking about is the one that likes a Hori as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Which I think you want to move on to art and animation?
Yeah.
I think one thing, if I may, that helps you differentiate these characters is that they're all color coded.
Yes, they are.
Very solidly. This is a thing that you may not have noticed. God knows Roger didn't until I told him about it, and then he could not unsee it. Every character except for Miyamura and one girl who has his same color palette, their hair matches their eyes. Every one of them. Like red hair, red eyes, purple hair, purple eyes, brown hair, brown eyes. And it's not like, you know, that ruins anything. It's pretty basic and pretty easy.
Actually,
character. You know,
it's very helpful once you realize it.
Yes, it's a very easy way to identify who's who. But man, it kind of threw me for a second. I will say about the art and animation overall, it's freaking gorgeous.
Yeah, it's really good. And the techniques and stuff that they use to build drama, the scenes whenever something emotional is happening and their color palette, their base color separates from their body and goes behind them. It's like a drop shadow behind them. Yeah.
Yeah, they have this colored drop shadow on front behind them, and then behind that is like just a white kind of void.
Yeah. And every character gets one, and it's, you know, when that happens, something good and generally powerful is happening in the show. And it's really cool.
And it's one of those things that, like, there was another show, the name of which escapes me, but it was the one with the kids playing the game and Paka was there. You know what I'm talking about. They had the whole episode with the panda girl. Anyway.
You're talking about Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl?
No. It was the one with the kid. It was different. I can't remember.
Panda Girl.
There was we'll get it. It's gonna be a whole thing. kids playing a video game. They're in the video game. There's a dude who is an alpaca. None of this is ringing a bell?
It is ringing a bell, but I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about. It's like The Ones Within or something, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was a thing they would do in that show that was kind of similar to this.
I think it's The Ones Within. I think that's what it's called.
Okay. There's the thing they did in that show that was kind of similar to this, where like there would be a very emotional moment and they'd kind of zoom in on this character and you'd get like the white background and like the shadow moving and stuff. That when I saw that happen in this show, I was like, man, I hope they don't overuse it like they did in that one, because that show did it literally like 3 times an episode, and it was like, this means nothing anymore. You're saving on animation. This isn't even anything. This show doesn't do it too much. It does it enough that you know that this is an important moment. It's kind of an easy signifier.
I would say even, like I think they do it plenty.
Yeah.
But the moments are so good that even if they did it too much, it'd be hard to overtake the moment.
It never felt like too much, is what I'm saying.
Sure.
I think it's well used.
Overall character designs. I mentioned Rascal does not dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. I really like the designs for the characters in that show, and this show reminded me a lot of that. It kind of had the same vein of, the characters had a good take to them.
Sure.
I guess.
Yeah,
I like the designs of them a lot.
Yeah, clean lines, super bright colors. They have eyes that are shiny like gemstones.
Yep.
Ooh, so pretty. There is one thing I liked in here where, like, every now and then they'll go into like some, I'll just say, surprisingly fluid animation, like when there's a kind of actiony scene.
Yeah.
But there's another thing they do where they'll have this like overlay of these just different like lights going on over a scene. It kind of looks like if you've ever looked up and seen the sun shining through like thin leaves or something, like you can see these kind of green and yellow lights coming through it.
You telling me it's got that ray tracing?
Yeah, it's got a little bit of ray tracing, I guess. It's whatever that is. They do that every now and then, and it does this effect where it's kind of reminds me of other shows where you said like the colors were kind of washed out because they had this light over it, but it does it like so sparse that you're seeing just bits of the screen like that.
Yeah.
And it gives you this really cool effect. If you want a good example of that, just go to YouTube, type in Horimiya egg time. There's a scene where they use it there, where Homeboy is running to the store, and it's pretty cool looking.
It's sweet.
Yeah. It's egg time. Roger, it's egg time.
It's egg time, baby.
All right. No, that was last week, as it turns out. All right. Music and sound?
Music and sound? Okay. God, it's good.
I love the opening.
I actually think that the sound design was one of the, characters and stuff aside, I think the sound was stronger than the animation.
Do you really?
Yes. The music in the background, the whooshes of the wind.
It's very well done.
The use of silence. I'm a big proponent of the use of silence, and damn, they do it well in this show. Whenever one of the scenes that we're talking about comes in with the white background and the colored backdrop or whatever, it's almost like there's this bassy just drop and then it's quiet.
Yeah.
And then the more emotional music and stuff kicks in. They have a whole lot. They don't reuse a lot of music in this. There's a ton of music.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is really good. And I was blown away the whole time by the sound design of this. I thought it was fucking incredible.
I think it was very well done. I don't think I got quite as much out of it as you did, but I mean, to each their own.
And I did like the opening and intros a whole lot.
Yeah.
It had kind of like that lo-fi garage sound.
Yeah. I do like the intro.
Yeah. It's really good. I like the outro too.
Outro's pretty good.
I like the way that the animation goes for both of them as well.
Yeah.
The show is just such a nice package altogether. You can tell that a whole lot of love went into making this show and doing it right.
For sure.
And I didn't read the manga, and I know some people thought it moved too fast, but translating to somebody that's only watched anime, damn, they did it right in my opinion. I was captivated by everything the whole time.
Yeah.
And the sound design was part of it.
It feels really good. I will say, like, when you talk about the like sound dropping out in those emotional moments, they do that. There's also bits where like someone's having a like inner monologue and it had like the little piano music. It's very like, you expect it to be a very heartfelt piece, and it is, and it works very, very well. It's quite well done. I did love the intro. Also, can we talk about the intro? The animation for it is pretty rad, and there's a bit where Homeboy is in what I can only describe as a blood cube. Like,
oh yeah,
it's so weird, but I love it. I don't know, it's strange. It's cool as hell, man. It's
Yeah.
really rad.
Yep.
They also kind of like let you know, by the way, we're going to be covering a lot here because there's bits where you see like the 4 panels for each of the 4 seasons and they're just walking through them. Like, just letting you know, we going to move.
Yeah, we moving.
We are moving. They do move. Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's well done.
Yeah.
I don't really know what else to say about it.
I thought it was good all the way around. I thought they used so many different sounds and stuff that they didn't even have to go to the extent of using. They didn't have to add in the whooshing of the leaves or the clicking of a heel or the drop of a pen whenever something, sad happens.
Yeah.
Or something uplifting happens. There are scenes with really cool guitar pieces in there. I was very impressed by the sound design of the show.
It's good stuff.
Yep.
How about that je ne sais quoi?
Brandon, I went first last week. You go first this week. That way I don't take everything like I did last week.
Jesus. Yeah, I'll go for it. So, the je ne sais quoi is where we kind of wiggle room it up. I will say that, like, as we already said, this one moves pretty quick, and I think it is all the better for it. Now, compare this to something, without giving too many spoilers away, compare this to something else this same season. This is a speed run of a story, and I think it is done right because you still get all these emotional hits and everything, and it's quite well done. Compare that to, for example, Promised Neverland Season 2. That is a speed run. Freaking blue. If you haven't finished it, hoo boy. And if you have finished it, I'm sorry.
Well, that one, even trying to watch through it, like I still haven't finished it yet, but it felt like it was moving very fast.
They move very fast.
And as an anime-only watcher, it felt that way. Horimiya itself, like I couldn't tell you that it was going so quickly from the source material.
I feel like, well, comparatively to the source material, I wouldn't know because, again, I haven't read it. But the thing is, like, in general.
If I were to stagger a guess, is what I'm saying.
Sure. But, like, what I'm saying is, like, in general, like, like I said, if you've ever watched one of these shows and just wish they would talk to each other and get there, this is your show, my dude. Beyond that, I mean, it wouldn't be me if I didn't have a couple gripes. So here's a couple things. One, it is bookended by a character that, as I understand, doesn't exist in the manga, who is this skeevy-ass teacher who kind of just seems like he wants to hit on the girl. So that's weird. You're a grown man. Don't be weird. That's a tiny nitpick because that person doesn't exist in the real story as far as I know. But
well, there is a manga and a web, like a web comic too. So I don't know. Is he gone in both?
I wouldn't know. I just know he's not in the original story apparently. Again, I already talked about how they have a lot of characters. Those little half episodes of development with someone, they are chock-a-block with really great development, but you kind of, some of them you can kind of just forget about almost instantly. Like, they'll show up, but their piece is done, kind of. They'll still have their moments, though. I will say my biggest thing here, and it's less that, like, this is a downside and more that I just don't know how to feel about it, is some of the development with Hori as a character. For one, the biggest thing for me is that she has a habit of being kind of violent. Like, you see this in the first episode where, like, she'll be embarrassed about something or feel strongly about something and kind of like smack Miyamura, and it's very cartoonish. Like, it's kind of slapstick. It doesn't feel like...
She does straight up like rage on him and throw a book and hit him in the face.
Yeah. And it's like, one of those things that, like, if this wasn't such a realistically driven show, I would just write that off as it's a cartoon. Yeah. But, it's so down to earth that it's hard for me to write that off. If I was to use... I probably wouldn't use the term abusive or anything, but she does smack him a couple times.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, that seems like kind of what she's into.
Yeah. Also, they do point out that Hori has anger issues.
She does. She absolutely does. And that's something that, like you said, they point out.
It's not, unaddressed. They talk about it.
But it's also a thing that she kind of, like, there's a bit we talked about in a previous ramble where she, like, dude's not trying to kink shame her or anything, but it seems like she kind of likes getting rough, let's say.
Maybe we'll talk more about that in the ramble.
Yeah. I think the only other thing I can really say bad about it is there is a bit where how to address this. There's a bit where like there's a question of Miyamura's sexuality, and she kind of drops this kind of not cool rant about how, like, you know, if you were to get tired of me and leave me for a girl, I would get over it. But if you were to leave me for a guy, it's like, okay, that's really weird.
Yeah.
What a weird thing to feel.
Yeah.
It felt like a little phobic, I'll just say.
Yeah.
And I wasn't
maybe
super
it
into
was
that.
a little phobic.
Maybe it was. You know, maybe that's that character. But like these moments are few and far between.
Yeah.
The show as a whole is really well done.
Yeah. And I mean, once again, they are cartoons, but they are, you know, very young. They're just getting out of high school. They're still figuring out. I'm 32 years old and still figuring out, you know, exactly what is right and wrong. And
sure,
you know, like I give it the notch for that. It does try to portray pretty realistic characters.
I get that.
Yeah.
It just that was just one moment that happened.
It I
just
caught
kinda,
it too. I was like,
it kind of stuck in my craw. You know what I mean?
I was like, that's a little strange.
Like, that's the thing I'm not going to be able to forget. All right, later.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, again, I really like this show. It's very well done. And I think that's about it for me. What you got for the Je ne sais quoi?
A lot of what you said, but mostly, you know, it's the show does so well of portraying the relationship as imperfect as it is to the point of perfection in the show. Like, it's just so well done.
Yeah.
To the point where I even think that those weirder bits are totally intentional and they're meant to be fucking weird and they're meant to like make your skin crawl a little bit, because even good people can make your skin crawl from time to time. God knows, you know, I make my own skin crawl listening back to audio talking about how Horimiya isn't realistically bullying or whatever.
Yeah.
You say stupid things and you learn. And this show moves forward and the characters learn and the characters grow. And I mean, for real, you feel like these characters do grow. And this show does the thing that I like. Shows and video games, stuff like that are really meaningful and powerful to me are always ones that I bond with the characters over. Like, you know, there's not a, I don't know if it's a real bond, if you can consider that or not, because these characters aren't real, but you know, I'm drawn in, I'm attracted and bonded to these characters because I relate to them so well. Yeah. And this show just does all that very good. I loved it, man. I really, if you can't tell, this thing's about to get a bomb-ass score from me because it was really good.
All right, well, let's get on to that bomb-ass score then, my dude.
All right.
How did you feel about the story and setting?
I gave it 2 points.
I gave it 2 points. How about those characters in development?
I gave them 2 points.
I gave them 2 points. How about that art and animation?
I gave it a weird score here. It got 1.75.
Jesus, I gave it 2 points.
Yeah.
How about the music and sound?
I gave it 2 points.
I gave it 1.5. And how about the Je ne sais quoi?
I gave it 1.5 points. And I took that 0.5 off because if I'm trying to recommend it to somebody and they absolutely do not like a slice of life or romantic comedy, I wouldn't be able to recommend this to them. I'd probably still try, but for most people, I would say, 90% of people I could recommend this show to, but outright, I know that there are going to be some people that won't like this, and that's, it's my wiggle room, so I docked off a little bit for that, but overall, I thought the show was great.
I gave it, for much those same reasons, I gave it 1 point.
1 point.
Just one. Again, it's wiggle room. If I really loved it, I'd give it all 2. If I, didn't like it or whatever, but it's a place where I can kind of, I'll tell you how I came to that 1 point score on Je ne sais quoi, is I looked at where I was going and what my total score was going to be, and it was like, do I feel like I can give this that? And I said, let's take a half point off. So it ended up at 1 for the Je ne sais quoi.
Okay.
Which puts me at a total of 8.5.
8.5. I'm at 9.25. That's an amazing for me, boss.
You and your quarter points. I got a very high and most definitely bordering on amazing. It's very, very well done. I love this show. I can't imagine there will be
I'm
more
so
of it.
thankful for this show.
Yeah.
Because it saved, well, that's
Save
not
this
fair.
season? Did it save the season?
No, that's not fair. Dr. Stone was very good. And I know that once I get around to watching Skinfinity, it's going to be very
Bro,
good.
you
too.
got to catch up on Skinfinity. Skate the Infinity is rad. But yeah, I think we got there, man.
Yep. Yeah.
Feels good. Obviously, your good buddies are telling you to check out this freaking show.
Yeah, please
It's
check it out. It's
super rad.
It's very good. And they wrap it up very nicely. I doubt there will be more. I would be stoked if there was.
If there
but-
was somehow, that would be super
Yeah.
cool. But like, that's one of those things. Is like, it's a classic kind of thing with all these love stories. You watch any of these freaking Disney movies, the hero saves the prince, whatever, any kind of love story. It's they meet, they blah blah blah, and at the end they get together and they're married and live happily ever after. But that's not how it works.
Yeah. That's the fairy tale. This is real.
That's
Like,
how
this
it
is-
lets
yeah.
you see. Here's them getting together,
Not
and now
real, but-
let's see how that life goes.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not real. It's a cartoon,
Yeah.
but it's very well done, and I
Yeah.
loved it. So there you go, guys. We
Yep.
made it.
Yeah.
Next
Please check
week,
out Horimiya. Yeah. Next week, what are we doing, dude?
Next
What
week,
are we doing?
can we give me those icy mountain wind?
I'll give you one of
next
those
week.
Horimiya whooshes.
Next week, we're taking a little trip to good buddy Brandon's Mountain Vibe Check, baby. There are a lot of shows. He is still going. There are a lot of shows this season. By this time next week, all but one, and that one will be a sequel series from the list I'm looking at, will have aired at least one episode. So we're going to get in there. Again, this isn't rule of three. This isn't mid-season. This is one
Right.
episode, at least one. Some of them maybe two.
Yeah. And I do believe at least one major one, maybe two, are Netflix gelled.
Yes, yeah. There's like 3 shows that are Netflix
Yeah.
jailed that I really, 2 shows I really wanted to see, and one that's a sequel series that I know nothing about.
I want to
or actually
see
a reboot, I believe.
A
of Shaman
reboot.
King.
I want to see the Shaman King one. That's the one that I want to see.
I don't know anything about it. So
It's a good show. It was a good manga. Whenever Roger was just a boy.
Rogers, this is ramble territory.
Whenever they first released them
Here we go.
Shonen Jumps here in
He's
the
just pushing it
mean
anyway.
streets
He don't
of
care.
Texas.
Texas.
I was day one. I was picking that Shonen Jump up, and Shaman King was one of the featured stories in there. Later on, it got picked up by like Fox or something. I remember watching it, liking it. I was stoked for the anime,
That's
and
one of those-
bummed that I was like fucking Netflix.
Yeah, that's one of those that like I've heard of, but know nothing about.
I think you'll like it. fine.
But there's a couple other ones. There's that Way of the House Husband show. There's that Godzilla SP. Apparently,
Yeah.
those are in Netflix jail. Would love to see those. I watched Godzilla vs Kong. It's all right.
Yeah. Dude, what you should check out is the Shin Godzilla if you haven't seen that.
I've heard that's amazing. I really do need to check that out. But that's what's coming up next week. We're going to be taking a trip to good buddy Brandon's Mountain Vibe Check. We are going to be doing, if we can figure it out, and I think we can, we're going to be doing like a straight up tier list on
yeah,
the
we're trying
YouTube.
something a little different. It's going to be fun.
So
Podcast wise might be weird, but you guys will get used to it.
we'll make it work. We'll make it work. But yeah, that's about it. I think we're gonna bust on out of here. Of course, full plugs at the end of the ramble. Probably gonna be a short one this time. And of course, all the plugs are everything's in the description of wherever you're watching this. Check us out, hit us up, do all the stuff, all the music and stuff. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. So let's get on to it. We good to go?
Yep. Love ya.
Love you.